So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Day one of the NFL Draft is officially over, and the Detroit Lions walked out with a pretty solid grade, taking Aiden Hutchinson at number 2 and then trading up for Jameson Williams at number 12. I gave the Detroit Lions a B+ grade for night one. I think Aiden Hutchinson was a fantastic pick, and I think Jameson Williams as a player is very good, but I think the trade up in the positional value isn't quite top tier, so I had to give that pick a B, but overall I gave them a B+ on the night. I think they walked out as one of the winners of the 2022 NFL Draft so far, but of course we still have a lot of NFL Draft left to go. And with that being the case and night 2 being on its way, today we are going to talk about a couple of prospects that the Detroit Lions could be targeting with that 46th overall pick and maybe even the 97th overall pick in the 2022 NFL Draft class. These are guys that I think would complete this team, guys that I think would really benefit from positional value, guys that would really benefit and at the biggest position of need, and these are the top players that I hope the Lions can land at pick 40. So starting off with the number 1 prospect, my number 1 player for the Lions to get tonight is I almost said Lewis Cine, is Nick Cross, the safety from Maryland. Nick Cross is literally just Lewis Cine in a Maryland uniform. They do a lot of the same things very, very well, and the only real big difference is I would say Lewis Cine is a much bigger hitter. I'd say he goes for the big hits a lot more, whereas Nick Cross goes for the form tackles and maybe won't knock a dude's head off, maybe won't knock helmets off, but is gonna make the secure tackle, and I think that shows with him having less missed tackles on his career and less missed tackles in the 2021 in the 2021 college football season. Nick Cross stands at 6'1", 212 pounds, which is really good size for a safety. If you want a comparison on that, you want to put him right around like a Justin Simmons build. Justin Simmons is 6'1", 202 pounds, 205 pounds. So you're giving up an inch, but you're adding about 10 pounds. So it's a pretty even give. It's a pretty even, give and take. He's pretty similar size to Justin Simmons. He's bigger, he's more built than guys like Kevin Byard and Tyrann Mathieu and guys of that range. So if you want to look for like a body comparison or who does he match up well again, or who does he match up with, as far as measurements, Justin Simmons, the safety from the Broncos, is a pretty good, size for size comparison, but he is very, very good. Having 4.3 speed, being incredibly fast, incredibly explosive, and having really good ball skills, he is legitimately just Lewis Cine in a Maryland uniform. I mean, I saw play after play when scouting Nick Cross of him just making really, really good plays. I mean, he covers a lot of range when the ball is in the air. He had an interception versus Penn State where he started on the far hash and made it to the boundary to get an interception. I don't believe he actually got his foot down, but he caught the ball and very nearly picked off the football from Penn State. I mean, there was a play versus, I believe it was Nebraska, where it was a goal line play and everything was moving to the right. One player came back to the left, and the only Maryland defender to realize it was Nick Cross, who dropped off of what he was doing and actually came away with the interception because the Nebraska quarterback threw it thinking it was going to be wide open. Nick Cross saw the play. Nick Cross diagnosed it with his instincts and, went up, high pointed the football, and came down with an interception in the end zone to save that play for Maryland. He is big, he is super fast, incredibly explosive, has good ball skills, has good instincts. He's not necessarily a headhunter, but he's a very secure tackler. And overall, I think Nick Cross should be number one on the Detroit Lions board going into day 2. Since the Detroit Lions missed out on Lewis Sign, the safety from Georgia, the best pick is Nick Cross at 46. I think there's a very good possibility that Nick Cross is going to be there. I think there's even a possibility that you can trade down and take and walk away with Nick Cross as well. But first things first, if Nick Cross is on the board at 46, I'm not going to risk another drop off. I'm not going to risk, another team jumping me to take my safety one that's left on the board when your biggest need is coverage safety. If I'm the Detroit Lions, I'm taking him at number 1. Now, my prospect 2, just in case he ends up falling, is Malik Willis. Malik Willis was a guy that we've talked about at the number 2 overall pick for months now. And Malik Willis ended up falling out of the first round entirely with only one quarterback being selected on night 1. Now, I think the odds of Malik Willis getting past Seattle twice, getting past, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, getting past, some of the teams that genuinely need a very good quarterback, I think is pretty slim. I think the odds of him getting to 46 aren't super high. But at the end of the day, if Malik Willis is there and you're talking about a guy that you could have taken at number 2 realistically, falling all the way down to pick 46, I think it's certainly an option that the Detroit Lions have, and I think it is certainly something that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell need to talk about with Ben Johnson, saying, okay, how did he perform at the Senior Bowl? How is he doing right now? How coachable was he? How good of a leader is he? How good of a teammate is he? What is his ceiling? How confident are we that we can develop him into his ceiling and what he can be? And I think if all those questions turn out positive, I think you could see the Detroit Lions select Malik Willis with 46. I think you could see the first 3 picks being, Aiden Hutchinson, Jameson Williams, and Malik Willis, and I think that you're setting up your roster for a very, very good future in Detroit if that ends up coming true. Maybe not having the biggest day 1 impact, right? Because obviously Hutchinson's going to start when Jameson Williams gets healthy, who he says himself. He said he wants to be healthy and wants to be ready by training camp. That is something that I think is very possible. So you're talking an immediate impact as soon as he's healthy. You're talking an immediate impact from Aiden Hutchinson. You may not get the immediate impact from Malik Willis, but if you're talking long-term impact, there might not be a better player on the board right now than Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty. And then the last player that I think is really possible to go at 46 is Brian Amosa, the linebacker from Oklahoma. I think that he is a really explosive, a really fast, a pretty instinctual linebacker. He's got really good sideline to sideline speed. He's not afraid to shoot gaps for tackles for loss. He's not very bad in coverage. He's a pretty solid coverage linebacker in his own right. And knowing that the Detroit Lions brought him in for a top 30 visit over the offseason shows me that they have very real interest in this guy from Oklahoma. Oklahoma's defense wasn't great a season ago, but Brian Amosa was one of the bright spots in their linebacking core. Right? He is good in coverage. He's a good tackler. He's got sideline to sideline speed. He fits what the Detroit Lions are looking to do, and I think he is the dark horse player to go at 46. Now, a couple of other guys that I think could go on day 2, guys that I'd say are more around like the 97 range, would be your Kirby Joseph, maybe your DeMarvin Leal, or your Christian Harris, right? Kirby Joseph, if you miss out on Nick Cross, I think Kirby Joseph is the next best option there. The safety out of Illinois who came away with 5 interceptions a season ago. I think DeMarvin Leal, giving yourself some defensive line help, giving yourself some interior pressure, somebody that can collapse the pocket from the inside and just be a game wrecker from the defensive tackle position. I think DeMarvin Leal from Texas A&M could fill that role very, very well. Or, like I said, I think Christian Harris, not like the biggest name linebacker, right? A guy that I wasn't super high on before the draft, but after doing a little bit more research, I think he is a really solid coverage linebacker who didn't get tested a whole lot. He's a little bit undersized, isn't super powerful behind his pads, but if you're talking about coverage, you have a very good coverage linebacker in Christian Harris. So I think he is also a possibility at the 97th overall position. But overall, I think that safety is the biggest need. I think the only big need the Lions have left on their roster right now is safety, linebacker, and honestly, tight end 2 and quarterback 2. Like, those are the big things that you're talking about right now with the second part of this NFL draft. And when you're talking about day 2 and day 3, if the Lions can address safety once or not, the Lions have 5 picks left. If they can address safety twice, linebacker twice and backup quarterback, or maybe even backup tight end with that last pick, then they walk away with an A-plus draft in my grade, because the Lions don't have that many holes, right? Their offense is pretty much complete with the exception of maybe a backup tight end and a future quarterback. Their defense is pretty much complete with the exception of some safety and linebacker depth. But if you're talking about a starting 11 on both sides of the ball, the Lions right now I think can compete for 8 to 9 wins next season. I really, really believe that. And I think at this point, you're just going to add depth and add the best player available at each and every individual position. And if the Lions can walk out with Nick Cross, JT Woods, Damone Clark, or a Penei Sewell, or Damone Clark, a Nefe Sewell, and maybe like an Amari Rodgers from Ohio, that's a really good draft class. Like that fills their needs. That fills exactly what they want and what they need out of this draft. And although I give them a B+ out of day one, if they can address safety once or twice, if they can address linebacker once or twice, and maybe walk away with either a great backup quarterback or a really good backup tight end, this draft class can very, very quickly jump from a B+ to an A in the matter of one pick of Nick Cross or a second pick of JT Wood. So with that being said, that is all for you guys today. The Lions still have some work to do on day 2, but they're off to a very good start in this year's NFL draft. And with all that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought about day 1, what you think about day 2, and what players you want the Detroit Lions to target on the second day of the NFL draft. I'd be very curious what you guys think, but with all of that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.